by the Fire. I'm Wildfire, and today we'll be reading Coincidences and Cosmic Signs. Before we settle in with our story, remember to like and subscribe for my algorithm, for your algorithm, and to keep me encouraged. That being said, grab your comfort beverage if you can. Mine is blue Thai tea today. And enjoy the story. Coincidences and Cosmic Signs is a My Hero Academia fic by The Moon is Dead, and is part of a series called To Be Your Lonely Neighbor. This is a multi-ship fic and is rated for general audiences. Standard operating procedure on this channel means I'll be censoring language to a certain extent, with the author's blessing of course. Neither I nor the author owns My Hero Academia or its characters. Summary. Shigaraki, defensive and definitely embarrassed, demands, "Who the heck are you?" Natsuo looks him up and down, grinning like Keigo has never seen before. "Call me Natsu." Good heavens, Keigo is going to die. "Please don't do this to me." Shigaraki looks at him, betrayed, and hisses, "You didn't tell me you called Dabi's brother." "Then you should have told me it would make you leave." Natsuo only smiles wider. Or Keigo meets Shigs. It's about a solid 3 out of 10 experience. Conversely, Natsuo is having a great time. On a day off, Keigo sleeps. On a day off after bothering Dabi all night and purposefully making sure he could annoy the villain first thing in the morning, Keigo has to sleep off the adrenaline rush of a near cremation in addition to the usual exhaustion of the week. Keigo survives the morning, clearly, but he's tired. So when he opens his apartment door in the early evening on his day off, he's irritated. The incessant knocking woke him from his slumber. Thus, in a rumpled halter top and worn-out sweatpants, Keigo opens his door to see the leader of the League of Villains. "Please, not again," he whispers. An unconscious and bloody Dabi is clutched in Shigaraki Tomura's careful grip. "Dabi, you're ruining my life." Simultaneously, Shigaraki despairs. "Oh, screw me. And screw this guy too." Keigo absolutely relates to the sentiment. He forcibly relaxes his feathers and tries to breathe. It doesn't take as long as it did all those months ago when the hero first met Dabi, but it's not exactly a quick process. Shigaraki glares at him, then groans. Okay, so," he mumbles, "Dabi had Giri send us to this unit because, well, here." The kid, because Shigaraki looks so young up close, awkwardly thrusts a beat-up phone into the space between them. The motion has Keigo's feathers fully sharp again, but he sees the video queued up. He arches his brow. Unexpectedly, the leader of the League of Villains flushes and looks away. I don't like to... it's better. Dabi explains it. He insists, pushing the phone closer. Watch. In the video, Dabi is barely standing, his pupils blown out. He waves at the camera person, Shigaraki, presumably. "No, it's fine. It's on? Good. You!" He points just left of the camera, which then moves dutifully so that Dabi is once more centered. "Stupid bird. You flippin' jinxed me. If I die..." "You said you weren't gonna die!" Shigaraki shouts shrilly in the recording as the camera dips down. "Tomura, chill the flip out. This is a standard procedure. Don't pout at me. Kuragiri, deal with your child. Polly, my will is pre-written and hidden in my apartment, so look for it if I..." Shigaraki cuts the video off, shoving the phone into his pocket. "Dabi talks until he passes out, and it's been a little less than half an hour since he was attacked. I don't think we have time. You're a hero, so save him. Make sure he doesn't die, and don't arrest him. Hawks, you have to..." "Do you want to come inside?" Keigo doesn't want to deal with Shigaraki panicking. "I can't help Dabi in the hallway." If Keigo himself hadn't immediately focused on Dabi's feathers, reporting a slowed, but not concerningly so slow heart rate compared to his usual baseline, upon seeing his limp form, and then again, just to double check, while he watched that snippet of the video, he probably also would be a little more frazzled. But he did, so now he can afford to be a little gentler with Shigaraki. Keigo gets the story out of Shigaraki as he cleans Dabi's wounds. 3 sluggishly bleeding lacerations curving around his right side, just below his ribs. You know, the kind of thing their emergency system was designed for, but whatever. Apparently Dabi was laced with something. A newbie recruit didn't take kindly to the pyro's sharp tongue and used their quirk, which transmits a cocktail of drugs through bloody wounds, with effects that vary based on the user's intent. Shigaraki dusted the aggressor immediately, so they're no longer a threat. But that didn't alleviate the effect of the quirk. Again, this is something the feathers are meant to have known at the time of the incident. So Keigo would not need to be caught up, so that he would have gotten Dabi the care he needed before the idiot passed out and traumatized his boss. But it's fine. They're just gonna have a discussion, when the villain wakes up, about redefining the purpose and rules of engagement for their safety system. It won't do anything if Dabi doesn't use it, but Keigo should have expected at least this much user error. At least Dabi seems mostly fine, well within his usual crappy equilibrium range, and his physical injury isn't life-threateningly bad. Keigo cleans it in a handful of minutes and bandages it even faster, replacing dirty and popped staples with new ones he's taken to keeping on hand for the villain. He texts Natsuo to come over after class in case there's something important he's missed, but with Dabi's high tolerance from previous drug use, plus Keigo's feathers relaying his vitals, the hero isn't too worried. If the med student can get his hands on a saline drip, though, well, Keigo wouldn't exactly complain. He has no clue how Dabi has regular access to food and safe living arrangements, yet remains so blasted skinny. The need he feels to remedy that is slowly driving him up the walls, so hooking Dabi up to some liquid nutrients seems the appropriate middle ground, especially when the stubborn man isn't able to argue against it, but he digresses. Smiling at Shigaraki, not something he thought he'd ever genuinely do, but it's nice, he consoles, "Dabi's gonna be fine. I'm sure he'll be bothering you again in a couple days." "He's fine, but I won't see him for days?" Keigo now realizes that this is why the Todoroki siblings were never concerned about Shigaraki purposefully dusting Dabi. "No, I'm staying until he wakes up." "Look, well, I get that you're worried about him." Keigo speaks over Shigaraki's denial. "I promise this is handled. I have someone on the way now, and you can't meet him given..." He gestures vaguely to encompass everything. Dabi seems really strict about making sure his siblings don't interact with any active villains, no matter how much he cares for either side. Only once the rehabilitation plans have been initiated does he become more amiable to intermixing his two lives. Keigo is not going to be cremated for messing that up. No thank you. So it's best you go on your way. "Whoever you just called can see Dabi, so they can see me too. I'm staying." "I don't..." "Why? Will this new guy arrest me?" "No." Shigaraki reasons, "Because Dabi is not a liar, and he told me I could come. So there's no reason to kick me out. I'm staying, or I'm taking my arsonist with me to find someone else to help." He crosses his arms and tilts his head. "You gonna let that happen, Hawks?" So, all of a sudden, now the leader of the League of Villains comes out, no longer the meek and socially awkward kid. Great. Aside from Keigo's own feelings on the matter, Natsuo will kill him if he lets Shigaraki disappear with his brother, especially if it's to go get subpar and overpriced medical care on the streets. Heck, all the Todoroki siblings will come for his neck if something happens to their brother on his watch. There's no winning here, not on any front. Dabi will kill Keigo if he lets his brother meet his boss, and he'll kill him if he fights Shigaraki here to prevent that. Keigo hates this place. These people are ruining his life. He glares at the smug brat. "You're really annoying, you know that?" If Keigo's luck is any good, then it should be enough if Natsuo can confirm that Dabi is going to be okay. Shigaraki can teleport back to whatever hole the League is squatting in, and everyone will go back to living their mostly separate lives. Dabi will wake none the wiser. But Keigo's luck is not good, and he can't believe he forgot that. He lends Shigaraki his shower and a fresh set of clothes to replace the ones decorated with Dabi's blood. The altruism serves to get the other out of his sight for a moment, and that's truly for the best. Keigo scrubs the recording to get Dabi's symptoms and waits. Eventually, there's a knock on the door, left unlocked for this moment, everything in service of making this process as quick and painless as possible. The second Natsuo meets Shigaraki, however, Keigo remembers he has crappy luck. He immediately senses that he has messed up, and it is a bone-deep feeling. Instinctively, he doesn't want to be in Dabi's line of sight when the villain wakes. Natsuo lets himself in, and it startles Shigaraki, apparently too deep in thought to have heard the knock. Dabi is laid out across the couch, and Shigaraki sits cross-legged on the floor by his head, promptly dusting the magazine he was flipping through. Shigaraki, defensive and definitely embarrassed, demands, "Who the heck are you?" Natsuo looks him up and down, grinning like Keigo has never seen before. "Call me Natsu." Good heavens, Keigo is going to die. "Please don't do this to me." Shigaraki looks at him, betrayed, and hisses, "You didn't tell me you called Dabi's brother." "Then you should have told me it would make you leave." Natsuo only smiles wider. He sticks out his fist, unsuccessfully trying to coax Shigaraki into a dap. "I'm here to make sure this guy's gonna be okay. We're cool, yeah?" "I guess," Shigaraki decides. "Hawks, show him the video." Keigo's never obeyed an order so fast. Natsuo does his thing, it takes only a few minutes, and the whole time Keigo is reconciling himself to his impending demise. He drops several feathers out of stress, and he doesn't bother controlling them, just lets them litter the floor beneath his feet. The others pay no mind to his distress. Natsuo outright ignores all of his decreasingly subtle attempts to separate them, and Shigaraki, warming up to the personable terror, is similarly indifferent. "The heck's this?" Dabi grumbles as he comes to, pulling out his IV. Displeased, Keigo trills under his breath, which alerts the villain to his surroundings. His eyes lock on the other two, chatting obliviously in the kitchen as they eat the leftovers Keigo risked life and limb to get from Dabi this morning. Louder, he demands with a glower at Natsuo's back. "What the heck is this? I will end your life." Shigaraki jerks towards him immediately, and the pair make their way over. As he rechecks Dabi's vitals, Natsuo, practiced at communicating with his brother, picks up the conversation in the middle. "What happened to him not being as bad as people think?" "I said that? Well, it's true. He's not as bad as people think. He's worse. Tomura, let me catch you around my brother, and I'll..." Keigo knows both Dabi and Shigaraki are embarrassed about having that compliment repeated. But he also knows Dabi is about to overcorrect. "Maybe let's not threaten the guy who brought you here for the medical attention you very much needed. Though, for the record, I did try to prevent this." "Oh, you're here?" Dabi redirects his glare. Keigo internally swears. If Dabi was distracted enough to forget about his presence, he should have kept his mouth shut. "You should have tried harder, Keigo." He pales as Dabi uses his given name. The middle children are not so easy to annoy. Fuyumi because she's a sweetheart, backed by a couple of absolute sickos, i.e. Rumi and Dabi, and Natsuo because he's too easygoing and mischievous himself. Shoto, when annoyed, calls Keigo by his hero name, a distancing move that reminds we can be strangers again. Dabi, conversely, makes it personal. Nicknames become Keigo when Dabi is angry. A threat and a reminder that, properly provoked, the villain will use any and all intimate knowledge of the hero to ruin him. Which means Keigo is now staying out of it. He looks at Shigaraki and Natsuo. You're on your own. Natsuo, for his part, doesn't hesitate. Aniki, come on! I want to keep him! I'm not a stray. Shigaraki frowns. He sounds awkward again. It seems Dabi's reaction has dissipated some of the buddy-buddiness that was growing between the two of them. Not like that, man. You should come around here more often. No. Dabi shuts it down. Absolutely not. Aniki. But then we'd be all paired with blondes and towheads. What? Dabi scowls. Keigo cocks his head to the side, trying to understand. What does that mean? And what possible reason do we have to do some nonsense like that? Excitedly, Natsuo explains. Something will happen, and we can be like, everybody grab your towhead! Keigo has been under the impression that Natsuo has been planning to integrate himself with Shigaraki and the League more broadly for some time now. But he must be mistaken. Surely, if that is really the case, Natsuo could have pulled a better reason than that out of the air. Dabi frowns in judgmental silence. That must have sounded better in your head. Little bit, yeah. Anyways, Tomura... Tomura? No, you call him Shigaraki. Tomura, Natsuo insists. Can I touch your shoulders? You want to touch me? Shigaraki startles, looking increasingly confused as Natsuo nods confidently. He turns a blinding smile on the League leader, and that finally gets a response. Sure? Thanks! Shigaraki stands stiff under Natsuo's hulking arm, looking at Dabi with wide eyes. Dabi sighs, dropping some of the hostility radiating off of him, which in turn causes Shigaraki to relax slightly, though his eyes stay wide. Natsuo grins. Look at us! Don't we look cute together? Like we could be... Dabi is smoking at the seams, which serves to make Natsuo laugh brightly. In defense of the integrity of his apartment, Keigo speaks up. What's this about pairs, Natsu-kun? Tomura is, or will be, I guess, the only light-haired non-sibling who's mine, Natsuo declares. So Keigo's attempt at resetting the conversation to something less problematic has backfired amazingly. He's just going to keep his mouth shut for now. He inches slowly out of Dabi's line of sight. Shigaraki chokes. What? I'm not... Natsuo soldiers on. Ni-chan has Rumi, Sho has Bakugo, and it's you two. Pigeon and I don't belong on that list, Dabi declares, unamused but thankfully smoke-free. Immediately, Keigo has a series of thoughts that cannot, under any circumstances, come out of his mouth. The first problem is that Keigo is really the only blonde on that list. Since Bakugo-kun is more of a towhead, which means grab your towheads would be directed at Keigo about Dabi, given he has white hair under his cheap dye. Which also means, by the same logic, that Natsuo doesn't need a tow-headed partner, because he is the tow-headed partner. Therefore, he can and should instead find a blonde partner so that Keigo isn't alone anymore. Tangentially, the second issue is that Keigo isn't sure if this is some kind of combat power thing. The only way he can see Natsuo needs a partner, and why it should be Shigaraki of all people, is if the something that happens, which necessitates collecting the partner to towheads in the first place, required powerful quirks. But in that case, isn't Keigo and Dabi being on the same team a bit too stacked? No shade to the others, but with their chemistry and... Keigo catches himself. He doesn't know why he, with zero reservations, accepted the fact that he and Dabi exclusively belong to one another. But registering that he did is cause enough to reboot himself. Don't give me your backtracking nonsense about friendship, Natsu. Dabi is arguing when Keigo tunes back in. It's pointless in the first place, seeing as how I'm not friends with Hei Hei. We're just a pair of unfortunate neighbors. Do our nights together mean nothing to you? Keigo's earlier decision to stay quiet loses to his impulse to retaliate after being referred to as yet another bird from a children's film. How you wound me, Dabi! Dabi's irritated gaze snaps unerringly in his direction. I will cremate you. Boring! You need new threats. You put no effort into spicing up our birdie. Dabi smiles without showing his teeth or crinkling his eyes. Practice your career in acting when I'm done preventing the worst thing that's happened to me since my death, yeah? His use of a nickname makes Keigo deem his life safe enough to intone, well, now you're just being unreasonably dramatic. Thank you, Keigo, Natsuo proclaims. I completely agree. I completely don't care, Dabi mimics. As I was saying, I resent every implication inherent in your pairing system, especially the one where you try to seduce my boss, and I don't want you two to be friends. Let go of Dusty before the damage is irreversible. He isn't breathing. Maybe that's because you just insulted him so much. Toya hurt your feelings just now, right, Tomura? Shigaraki is clearly not all the way online right now. Asking, what? Natsuo unsubtly nudges him. No, I mean, yes? Yes, my feelings are hurt by what I definitely heard Toya say. Yes. Dabi groans. Tomura isn't the problem here. It's you, Natsu. You have zero self-preservation instincts. Shamelessly, he demands. And whose fault is that? You're a helicopter parent. I have literally never had to watch my own back. First of all, I'm not your parent, Dabi declares. He then negates the sentiment by continuing to nag his brother. If you hang around him now, you'll weasel your way into villain hotspots. And yes, we need healthcare that's actually worth the asking price. But you have no business being on the front lines. I can defend myself. Dabi's face says, I doubt that. But his mouth says, I don't care. If I can help, I should. You just said people need me. Flipping heck. Did all of you have to turn into hero types? Why couldn't one of you be selfish, like me? Keigo blinks to indicate his quiet surprise to the others, but they both appear more used to Dabi's faulty sense of self. Listen, I have enough anxiety with Sho, and now with Yumi since she's attached herself to Mirko. Just go to class and go home. Try vigilante medicine after you turn 60. Nice try, but I'm immune to your emotional attacks. You'll support me in whatever I decide. Everything you do stresses me out. Don't drag Tomura into this. Not what'll only compound my worries for the both of you. Dabi groans. Keigo mentally recalls and reclassifies his comments up to this point, reworking the context. This is why I didn't want the two of you to meet unsupervised. What is this, the 16th century? We're adults. We don't need a chaperone. Natsuo scoffs. Besides, Keigo was here the whole time. Dabi's laconic glare is so scathingly loud in his silence that Keigo is immediately offended but can't offer a rebuttal, which blows. Dabi huffs. Handjob, help me out here. Don't you have anything to say? Shigaraki considers for a moment. Nothing bad happened yet. I didn't mess it up, right? You could never. Dabi is quick to assure. I told you not to worry about it. There's no way you could mess it up, Tenko. You're sure? You're sure? Shigaraki double-checks, tension leaving his shoulders when Dabi nods. A surprisingly self-assured smile takes over his face. Okay. Natsu, do you play video games? Dabi laughs helplessly under his breath as Natsuo nods. Yeah, sometimes I play for fun in the dorms. Then I'll side with Natsu. You unrecruited basically everyone else who plays, and your brother is my age. We can be friends, I think, even if he only sticks around to annoy you. For the record, I want to stick around to gain experience in medical services that matter, and because we're friends, Tomura. I like talking to you, and I enjoyed your company tonight. Sure, he says, clearly unconvinced. He misses the determined gleam that takes over Natsuo's face when he turns back to Dabi. Anyways, it's not like it'll last all that long. Once you stop reacting, he'll get bored. That's what Giri would say, at least. Famous last words, Keigo thinks. He looks at Natsuo, telepathically communicating as best he can that in return for his services, Keigo fully expects Natsuo to protect him from death by Dabi. Shigaraki-kun, Natsuo really does want to be your friend. He has, for a long time now. Shigaraki frowns, looking between them before settling on the face he trusts the most for guidance. And man, does Keigo love it when a plan comes together all by itself. Dabi is so incredibly vulnerable to emotional attacks from people he cares about, whether they be intentional or a matter of course, and regardless of whether or not he himself can tell the difference. Dabi narrows his eyes, turning to Keigo with suspicion, but the hero can clearly see him faltering. Abruptly, Keigo remembers that he's annoyed with Dabi too, for failing to honor their safety agreement. Sure, everything worked out this time, but that's not a precedent he has any lasting faith in. His career choices aside, just knowing how sharp Dabi's mouth is, the man is bound to find more trouble sooner rather than later. And now that Keigo isn't about to have an aneurysm worrying about Dabi's response to Natsuo and Shigaraki meeting, he can afford to be mercilessly petty. He gives Dabi the final push. Without looking away from the Blue Flame villain, Keigo theorizes, I can imagine you got to have very many friends. I can't imagine you got to have very many friends growing up, Shigaraki, and I think Natsu will be a good influence. It'd be nice to have you two looking out for each other. Squinting at the hero, Dabi's stare suddenly goes flat. Keigo knew the villain would grasp the source of his annoyance in short order. I was fine. I have a high tolerance, and this nonsense is obviously trivial compared to the rest of it. This has nothing to do with that, or with you, Birdie. Keigo shrugs. My point still stands. Dabi scrubs his eyes. Fine. I won't interfere in your friendship. He points at Natsuo and Keigo in turn. You two manipulative bastards are on thin ice, though. Sure thing, Dobbs. Natsuo pipes up. You should get some rest before your UA visit. Huh? Dabi frowns, then groans. You did not snitch on me to Frostfire. Of course I did. Natsuo smiles. In case our baby brother wants to crap talk any of my medical skills again, I send him status reports on all the patients I treat. Keigo doesn't bother smothering his laughter. Dabi can glare and flip him off all he likes. It doesn't change the fact that all of this could have been avoided if he used their safety system as intended. Keigo does a lot of rescue work, and it's meaningful and fulfilling and yada yada, but man, it is so satisfying to be able to bluntly inform the rescuee of all the ways they screwed themselves over and made his job harder. He's not allowed to do that as Hawks. Always has to be super nice to the civilians, and heroes too on occasion, but Dabi doesn't respond well to mannered doublespeak. This is more his language. and Keigo loves getting the chance to speak it. So you're going to UA tomorrow? Shigaraki perks up. Will Eraserhead be there? You can meet Aizawa at family dinner next week, fanboy. Dabi decides. In for a penny, in for a pound, Keigo guesses. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna turn 20 demons obsessed with my imaginary political aspirations to my advantage. Keigo didn't think those teenagers would still be planning out Dabi's hypothetical political career 3 months after he set up the joke. But he can't say he's not impressed that the teens know that getting Dabi to rant is the easiest way to get around Aizawa's more boring lesson plans. He wonders who will win between Dabi and Shoto, one egging on a derailing conversation about politics, and the other convincing his friends to partake in guerrilla caretaking. Tokayami will let him know later, if he asks. You know, the League leader hums, considering. I think I can see you as a politician. You'd be... Dabi growls. I changed my mind. Permission revoked. The link to the original work is in the description. Please drop a kudos to the author, as well as a link to the Stories by the Fire Discord server, if you'd like to come chatter. I do welcome constructive criticism in regards to my videos, as well as comments on the story itself. Before we wrap it up, Spitfire has a message for you.
Like the video to support Wildfire. Subscribe to Stories by the Fire to find the rest of her videos. Hit the bell so you are notified when her next video comes up. Have a good day or night. Bye-bye.